ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रय विनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं। परमानन्दमाधवं परमानन्दमाधवम्। ॐ वाङ्मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्म एधि वेदस्य मआणिस्थः श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीः अनेनाधीतेन अहोरात्रान् संदधामि रुदं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्माम अवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु। अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम्। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारे हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा जिह्वे पिबस्वामृतमेतदेव गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। अतुलित बलधामं हेमशैलाभदेहं दनुजवन कृशानुं ज्ञानिनामग्रगण्यं सकलगुणनिधानं वानराणामधीशं रघुपतिप्रियभक्तं वातजातं नमामि। रघुपतिप्रियभक्तं वातजातं नमामि। ॐ आञ्जनेयाय विद्महे वायुपुत्राय धीमहि तन्नो हनुमान प्रचोदयात्. नारायण नारायण नारायण. Verse number 71. I'll read the verse first and read Bhagwan Shankaracharya's Bhashya. Then we'll look through the meaning from where we left in the last session. Verse number 71. विहाय कामान्यः सर्वान् पुमांश्चरति निःस्पृहः निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः स शान्तिमधिगच्छति. विहाय कामान्यः सर्वान् पुमांश्चरति निःस्पृहः निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः स शान्तिमधिगच्छति. Bhagwan Shankaracharya's Bhashya on the same. Vihaya parityajya kaman yas sannyasi puman sarvana sheshata karsyena charati जीवन मात्र चेष्टा शेष पर्यटति इत्यर्थः. निस्पृहः शरीर जीवन मात्रे अपि निर्गता स्पृहा यस्य स निस्पृहः सन्. निर्ममः शरीर जीवन मात्रा क्षिप्त परिग्रहे अपि मम इदम इति अभिनिवेश वर्जितः. निरहंकारः विद्यावत्वादि निमित्तात्म संभावना रहित इत्यर्थः. स एवं भूतः स्थित प्रज्ञः ब्रह्मवेद शांतिम सर्व संसार दुखोप परम लक्षणाम निर्वाणाख्यम अधिगच्छति प्राप्नोति ब्रह्मभूतो भवति इत्यर्थः. Supreme consciousness Bhagwan Krishna, in the verses starting from 70, 71 and 72, where Bhagwan is concluding his teaching in the chapter 2 of Sankhya Yoga with a description or answer to Arjun's question about the key qualities of a Sthita Prajna or a man of realization. So in the verses 70, 71 and 72, Bhagwan is concluding the teaching with explaining the vision, the state of mind of a man of realization, along with how he looks at the world and how he walks in the world post realization. What happens post realization? One of the thoughts which usually come to us is realization means, or nirvana means, that thing which happens after death. If we take that meaning, it's why it is incorrect. Many die, but everyone doesn't get realization. So Sanatan Dharma, the scriptures of Sanatan Dharma, does not talk about a realization which happens after death. In or according to Sanatan Dharma, realization has to happen while living here. Once a person has realized while living here, post death also that realization continues. And realization means what? That person ceases the kind of cycle of birth and death forever, or crosses over the cycle of birth and death forever. He reaches a point of no return, but the realization has to happen while this person is living here. Because how will you study scriptures? Without scriptures, realization is not possible. Because the only proof of the self or supreme consciousness is actually the scriptures of Sanatan Dharma, which is Vedas, Upanishads, Brahma Sutra, Prasthanatrayi, the way I call it, the way the way our rishis call it. Sorry to say the word. So the way our rishis call it, Prasthanatrayi, and the three things which come in Prasthanatrayi are Upanishad or Shruti, which is categorized as Upanishad in the Prasthanatrayi, then Smriti, where Bhagavad Gita comes, and Smriti is Bhagavad Gita in Prasthanatrayi, and then Brahma Sutra, which is a creation of, or the sutras written by Bhagwan Veda Vyasji. So these three becomes Prasthanatrayi. Trayi means three. So apart or outside of these three, there is no other proof of the supreme consciousness. So without the proof of supreme consciousness, or without the material of knowing supreme consciousness, how can you talk about realization? So that's why I say the only proof of supreme consciousness, or the only process of self realization, is actually walking the path as enshrined by or enlightened by our Sanatan Dharma, in terms of the Prasthanatraya in the scriptures we talk about. So supreme consciousness, Bhagavan Krishna also brings up that point, that a man of realization vision, the moment he realizes, is this 70, 71, and 72, where in the 70 Bhagavan gave a simile of ocean, the way water from all over the world, all streams, all rivers, all sources in the world, they flow or run towards, water in them gushes towards the ocean. In the same way, towards a man of realization, all the objects of desires in this world keeps gushing towards it. But that's not the only phenomenon which Bhagavan wanted to bring out. It's not only to bring out that everything gushes towards him, but the state of the ocean is, in spite of all the water from all over the world flowing into the ocean is what? Achala pratishtham. Means what? It remains unmoved, undeterred. These things are not, the water flowing from all over the world is not able to create any kind of disturbance in the ocean. It's not that since water is coming from all over the world, the ocean and has this desire to get more and more. No, that's not there. Rather, the level of ocean always remains the same. Ocean remains achala pratishtham. In the same way, towards a man of realization, all the objects in the world keep gushing towards the man of realization. What we can think and we keep on desiring, all those things automatically flow towards them. But they are not able to create any kind of thought modification or vikara in the antakarana of the man of realization, because man of realization, like the ocean, is achala pratishtham. He is placed well unmoved in the self, and without any kind of things impacting that man of realization. So those objects, if they come also, they are welcome. If they don't come also, good luck to them, no problem at all. They are not able to create any kind of desire, any kind of longing in the man of realization. That's what Bhagavan explained in verse number 70. In the verse number 71 where we left, then now Bhagavan brings up the key attributes of a man of realization, the way he moves around in the world. He brought, Bhagavan, Supreme Consciousness, Bhagavan Krishna brought about 4 attributes here, 4 key qualities here, and that's where we left in the last session. Bhagavan says, Yah sarvan kaman vihaya, Yah puman, means the way we have to understand this verses. Yah puman means that person or that man of realization whom we are talking about, or in the verse 70 and all these verses, Tita Prajna, which Bhagavan spoke about. The moment a man attains realization or gains realization, Yah puman, that person, sarvan kaman vihaya, gives up or detaches himself. Gives up means, has dispassion for all kinds of desires in the world, which is what Bhagavan mentioned in the previous verse also. Even though everything flows into him, but they are not able to create any kind of disturbance or thought modification in this man of realization. Why? Because he has already gained dispassion towards all that which can be gained in this world. Let me just explain you. I can say, I'm putting this word in so much stress, that all that which can be gained in this world, all that which can be gained in this world. The moment we hear this word, all that which can be gained in this world, our thought will go to all the objects we see in the world. No, I'm not talking about them alone. I am talking about all that which can be gained using this life, starting from Brahmaloka, Swarga, and any loka, plus all the desires of this world, all the objects in this world. We can talk million objects here, but I'm talking about even He does not have desire for Swarga also, heaven. Swarga means heaven also. Does not have desire for heaven also. Does not have desire for Brahmaloka also. Does not have any such desire. His desire is all fulfilled. Why? Because he feels himself, he experiences himself as one with the Supreme Self, Supreme Consciousness, which is the foundation of all that is created. Okay, let me just put it in this way. Why he does not have desire for all that which is created? Because he has gained or become one with the Creator. The moment he becomes one with the Creator, created loses its charm forever. All that is created. I'll tell you one thing very honestly here. In Taittiriya Upanishad, in Brahmananda Valli, there is this stanza which comes over there, mantra which comes there in the Brahmananda Valli of Taittiriya Upanishad. It talks about the state of a man of realization. The moment a person realizes, what is the immediate expression of this man? So it says etat samagayan naste ha vu ha vu ahamannam 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 ahamannado ahamannado ahamannadah. It goes like that. So the man of realization is in such an ecstatic state once he realizes that he cannot put that experience in words at all. And that is why in this Samagana, as mentioned in Brahmananda Valli of Taittiriya Upanishad, comes ha vu ha vu ha. It's an expression of ecstasy of the man of realization. Alas, I have lived so many lives running after so many desires, so to say. I may have fulfilled many, may not have been able to fulfill many in my lives I've lived till now, but here at last I have reaching where desires does not have any existence at all. There is nothing which can be desired once you reach there. That's why Bhagwan Krishna in the earlier in the 55th verse said, no, Atmani eva atmana tushtaha. This person is always contented and fulfilled by whatever has been already gained by his own supreme consciousness, his own self. That's what Bhagwan mentioned there. And it is said, his desire, his level of fulfillment is such, all that which can be desired throughout the life, starting from the creator Brahmaji. No, when I'm saying creator here, I'm talking about the Devta Brahmaji here. I'm not talking about the supreme consciousness creator here. Starting from Brahmaji up to the stump of a tree, whatever has been gained in the entire life, so to say, of all of them put together, added together, whatever happiness they have derived by all the objects of desire they have gained in their life, starting from Brahmaji up to the stump of a tree, that all of those happiness put together is 1/1,000,000th of the kind of happiness a man of realization experiences the moment he realizes that self. So that is what Bhagwan was trying to say here. Why? Because desire has no place in his life at all. So Bhagwan says, Yah Puman Sarvan Kaman Vihaya Charati. He walks about giving up all the kind of desires, again starting from Brahmaloka up to the all the kind of lokas and all that which can be desired in the world. Then Bhagwan gives three more attributes of this man of realization. Nisprihaha, Nirmamaha, Nirahankaraha. So we were talking about this in the last session. So I told you one thing, that Kaman, desire, the next form of desire is actually, deep longing or deep craving for something. Now, when we say longing, longing can be at two aspects. So let me just come back to this particular line where we left in the last session. We said there are four things in life which becomes actually the basis of our life, or of we looking forward of living. What are the four things I spoke about? Kaman, desire. We live to fulfill desire. Then spriha means deep longing or deep attachment. Mamaha, mamta means minus. I spoke about that. And then ahankara means I-ness. So that's where we left in the last session. So, when we talk about, I spoke a little bit about that elaborately in the last session. I'm taking further from there. So, if we really look at life, we can club both Kaman and Spriha into one. Okay, because they are different form of desire only. So, desire is one. When we desire an object and we run after them, we chase about it. So desire will always be for that which is not there with me right now. Means I coined that with a word called aprapta, that which is not there with me. You will desire only that which is not there with you, right? You won't have a desire for things which is already there with you. Why will you have a desire for that? It's already there with you. You don't have to run after a chase, it's already with you. So aprapta, or that thing which you do not have today, you will have, depending upon your interest, you will start to have desire about that particular object. So that's one thing called desire. Then if after repeated attempts things don't come to you, then what happen? Your effort is not getting you there. Then that converts into something called longing. Means what? You long to be with that, you long to own it, you long to have that as part of your objects. You may long for gaining that person, you may long for gaining that situation, you may long for gaining that object. You can classify that in any way. Then also, if you have gained something and it gave you happiness and it goes away from you, then also you can have something called longing. Okay, but I'm clubbing longing and desire into one. So basically there are three things which constantly or parallelly moves about in our life, or which becomes the foundation of our life, and that is called kamana, desire, mamata, minus, ahankara means I-ness. Now let's see these in their right correct sequence. As I told you, desire is always for that which I have not gained yet in my life. The thing which is not mine today, to make that thing mine, I will have something called a desire, provided it is according to my liking. And I told you, preset to that is Shobhan Buddhi, that I may conceive a thought that this thing is going to add beauty to my life. So I start at having that thought in my mind that this is going to add beauty to my life. It's not there with me right now. I should work hard to gain it, and that is what is called kamana or desire. Okay, meaning what? Now if the desire is for making something mine which is not mine today, that means what? If you really in the nutshell you see that, or in the deeper sense you see, the desire is actually the past of mamata, or the preset form of mamata. Mamata means minus. I'm talking about, I'm not talking about the name here, huh? Please don't take that. When we call mamata in Sanskrit, it means minus, and when we call ahankara in Sanskrit, it means I-ness, the thought of I. So let's see this in that correct way. Meaning, what is the meaning now? If mamata or minus is the preset form of the what do you call it, or the desire is the preset form of minus only, then what does it mean? In that, fulfilling the desire means, it actually, fulfillment of desire actually is going to strengthen my minus. The more desire I fulfilled, the more stronger my feeling becomes. That how it becomes, let's see that in a little bit of detail. But before that, let's complete that all the three things which I spoke about. So Desire actually strengthens the minus, and the minus or mamata strengthens the I-ness. Okay, that's how you have to understand in the sequence. So once these things strengthened, what is getting strengthened at the end? The feeling of me, the feeling of mine, me, myself. Myself is getting strengthened through the strengthening of these or fulfillment of these three things. Now, let's ask this question. When we ask this question to people, who are you? To explain who are them, they will always try to count the things they have. Now, things can be, I'm just coming to that. At whatever they have as mine is what they will try to give as an explanation of introduction of themselves. Like, I'm just giving you an example. To introduce ourselves, we will say what? Or to introduce ourselves, we will count that I am so and so educated. I'm educated with so and so degree. I actually am placed or working at so and so position in my life. I have so much wealth with me. I belong to so and so family or clan, and I have so and so as my contacts. That is my introduction today. Just think whenever you ask someone, because I told you in the WhatsApp group, oh, whenever somebody reaches out to me personally, many people, they straight away come and ask me a question without even, and without even the basic step of introducing themselves first, and they expect that I'll answer the question without even knowing who they are. Because you have to just come forward to introduce yourself first before even asking a question. That's the minimum courtesy required when you reach out to someone from whom you are learning or gaining knowledge. That's the first thing we need to understand. So when I go back and ask the question, because every time if somebody reaches out to me personally, my first point of reply will be, or response will be, please introduce yourself. And I've seen everyone will introduce themselves. Everyone's introduction is different. That's the beauty of it. Somebody only uses the name. Somebody only talks about, the name along with position. Somebody talks about from where they belong to. Somebody talks about what they're educated, what they are doing today. So the introduction spans across many things. So I see this happening everyone's introduction is like that. There are rare few people. I'm telling you this thing that one person reached out to me, and it is a little bit funny also. Reached out to me, and when I asked for introduction, gave me a very strange kind of an introduction. So I had to go back and ask, if this is your introduction, have you understood that? Then I don't think there is any point reaching out to me in terms of question and answer. Then I'm sure you must have answer to all the questions already with you, if this is your introduction that way. I mean, sometimes people feel that knowing a little bit spirituality means that let me just show what I have. I'm sorry, spirituality is for your own self, not for showing in the world. So it's not something to what you call that, let me just showcase walking around that I'm spiritual. I'm sorry, that's not the case at all. So that's why introducing yourself, the moment you ask introduction, this is the kind of introduction people usually give. Now just see, all these things which I spoke about falls under the category of part of introduction of oneself. They are only used to explain how big I am. To explain how big I am, or to elaborate how big I am, or to show how big I am, I will try to count the things I have. So the way, one of the way to understand the strength today in the world today, one of the wrong definitions we have understood is that great or big I am if I have huge expanse of things and objects X in my life. I'm sorry, that does not talk about your greatness at all. That's your karma phala you're gaining. That's your prarabdha. That definitely, it must be your hard work, no doubt about it. but at the end of the day, it is part of your karma phala, it's part of your prarabdha, it's not you. And irrespective of how much expanse of things you have in this world, at the end, when you leave this world, all this will go. And when you go to the next world, will you have these objects to explain yourself? Our Sanatan Dharma is very clear. Your greatness is never counted with the things and the bank balance and the wealth and the education you have. Your greatness is definitely counted by the amount of progression you have done towards vertical growth in this life. You came in as, a child, went to kindergarten, LG, UKG, or whatever, first class, nursery, whatever you went through, and then you gained a degree, but all that was for to help you gain some portion of vertical growth in life. Why? Because that what you get as material wealth in this life or material education in this life, even if though how much amount of achievement you may have, next life you will again go to, KG, kindergarten, nursery, first class, or whatever. You'll have to work hard for all those things again, because that degree, that wealth you have will not be counted in the next life at all, because you will have to start from ground zero there. Of course, the only thing which you will carry there with you is going to be the punya you have earned. Before that, let me just tell you the correct sequence from the top to bottom. In the ascending order, let me say, from the top to bottom, let me say that the topmost thing which will be counted is that how much amount of progression you have done towards vertical growth, which you are going to carry into the next life. Second thing is how much amount of punya you have earned in your life. The third thing is going to be what karma phala you have earned. And fourth thing, which is part of that also, is going to be what prarabdha you are going into. So, these things are the one which will matter. That is what is going to make you or mar you in life. Wealth is, you cannot buy a spirituality with wealth at all. You may go to an ashram and sit there, but that will not guarantee you spiritual knowledge at all. Your wealth cannot get you spiritual knowledge, and spiritual saints cannot be bought by your money also, by the way. So that is the bigger thing we need to understand. Yes, we can earn punya, we can gain the clarity, we can gain the purity, we can gain the purity of our inner equipment to gain in such a way that we reach a mahapurusha, we reach a great saint, and under his lotus feet, at his lotus feet, we can study the scriptures and gain towards vertical growth. So here the thing you need to remember is very clear, that all these things are strengthening one another. So to explain how great I am today I'm actually trying to count the number of objects and this expanse of wealth I have. That is what I'm trying to do today when I talk about the greatness of me as of today. To what do you call that, explain the greatness of me today, whatever objects or whatever introduction I give today, or whatever expanse of objects I count about today to talk about my greatness or how great I am, those all of them qualifies under this category called minus mamta. And you know and through this minus only I feel strengthened. Now let me tell you the other side of it also. If somebody we see today, that does not have anything to be counted as his or hers, then we call that what? We say that this person is at a very pitiful state in his life, his or her life. When we see this sequence which I spoke about just now, we understand that supreme consciousness, what supreme consciousness Bhagavan Krishna is talking about, that all those things which are the foundation or the basis of all the ignorant people in this world, or by taking refuge under what? the ignorant people's life move about, a man of realization is free from all those things, all those dependencies. A man of realization experiences complete freedom from those things in totality. Once we understand this, once we understand this line, then only we can imagine what is called as mukti, what is called as liberation, what is called as freedom. A man of realization's only dependence, only and only dependence, or only refuge of a man of realization is what? On which basis man of realization's life runs? That is what Bhagavan explained in the verse number 55. Atmani eva atmana tushtaha. Now pay attention to this part, that a form of dependence on something is definitely required by all of us. The moment I understand that I consider myself that I'm without any kind of dependence, and that if I try to understand this fact that uh, I am something who cannot live a life independently, I need things or situations in my life to depend upon. I will search for dependence in my life. And if we understand this fact that I had required to be dependent on something in the past, I am required to be dependent on something today, and will be required to be dependent going on also, that means I am someone who falls under the category of what? An ignorant person. When I understand this fact that I do not have any independent existence, so to say, for my existence, I need to be dependent on something or the other. I had been dependent in the past also, I'm dependent today also, and I will remain dependent in future also. That is when we need to understand we are at the level of ignorance. That means I have recognized this fact that I do not have any independent existence, and I am someone who need to be dependent on something or the other. In that state of ignorance, my first dependency is on my desire and desire fulfillment. And through my desire, my myness starts to get established. When how? When I start to feel that I have certain objects in my life, certain people in my life who I can call mine, basis which my ego or my I-ness is able to stand as an independent in vis-a-vis the other people in the world. I'm purposively said that word, vis-a-vis the other people in the world. When somebody says that I started my life from scratch, from ground zero, then what he means by that statement is, before this point, I had nothing in my life which I could call as mine. That is what his ground zero, oh, so to say. I started from scratch means when I started, I had nothing in my life which I could call as mine. Today, I have things that I can call as mine. That means what? Depending upon desire, our minus strengthens itself. And by depending upon the minus, when our I-ness starts to strengthen, that's when we start to feel that I have reached a respectable state in my society. Now, I'll tell you one thing very honestly. There are people, when who are educated and all, when they have not gained a position in life, no, they try to escape from meeting people who were with them or who have moved on with them. Okay, so why? because they feel that I've not reached a respectable state. I'll meet them only once I can and say that I've reached a respectable state in the society. And now I'm at a stage where I can introduce myself or I can showcase myself in front of others. Because showcasing them means, they need to have a respectable position, they need to have some wealth, they need to have something or the other. So there is one, to just laugh about. There is one dialogue which used to be heard in movies some long back. You know, I have a car. I have cars actually. I have a huge palatial house. I have expensive clothes and expensive things. What do you have? Then the other side answered, I may not have all the things you have, but I have my mother with me. So मेरे पास माँ है. So what if I don't have expensive cars and other things and all those things, so to say. So but the thing is, we need to understand, the moment I feel that I have some things which belong to me, which I can call and identify as mine, that's when I feel that I've reached a respectable position in the society, and I can lead a life filled with pride. Remember, that is the point where I need to understand. And this is how we usually lead our life. Actually, this is how we actually identify ourselves and lead our life. And this is what the transactional world of reality is all about. What is that? A life is led only along with desires, minus, and I-ness, which all go hand in hand with each other. Why? Because today my actual understanding of me is aham jiva asmi, jivosmi. That is my thought process today. If you are jiva, if you are living the life as a jiva, then definitely these things will become the basis is on which your life will stand upon. These are going to be the dependencies on which your building of life will stand upon. I will use this word. Let me say this way, the way Bhagwan has said is, these four things become the four pillars on which my life is constructed. The building of my life is constructed. Without pillars, you cannot erect a building. The same way, see, Bhagwan has also termed four. Kaman, Nispriha, Spriha, Kaman, Spriha, Mamata, Ahankara. These are the four pillars on which our building of life is standing upon. One of these pillars break, that's when we look back and say, oh, my life is destroyed. I am shattered. I have no place to go. And many end up giving up their life also, because they don't know anything beyond it. That's till when? As long as I am living a life that aham jiva asmi, jivosmi. Till the time this thought is prevailing in my head, this identification is prevailing in my head about myself, that aham jivaha, till that time these four pillars become the basis of our life, and we cannot escape them, so to say. Okay, but if this thought, this undercurrent or prevailing thought in my head is replaced by this thought, aham atma asmi, aham brahma asmi, I am the pure supreme consciousness, or my true self is the pure supreme consciousness which doesn't get attached or entangled or tainted by anything in this world. The moment I reach this state, then tell me, where will this thought be, or will this thought ever exist, or does this thought of minus ever have any place inside such a person? No. If this thought process, that aham atma asmi, aham brahma asmi is strengthened within someone, then remember something, then this person will have no need for any more dependencies at all. No more dependencies will be there in the life of such a person. This person will not look for or anything to fall back upon, will not look for or any kind of depending things at all. These four things will lose their place in the life of such a person, and he will understand that these things which I was dependent on till now, I have nothing to do with them in my life at all, because he's no longer a jiva. Since he is no longer a jiva, he does not need anything to strengthen this thought called jiva bhav, this thought called aham jiva asmi. Jiva needs things to strengthen its existence, but once you become supreme consciousness, or you realize yourself as supreme consciousness, these things are no longer required by you to strengthen your existence. These things may come and go, but they don't add any value to you. External people may feel that your expanse is growing, but internally in you, they don't add any value to you at all. Why? Because the most valuable of all things, the supreme consciousness, this person has realized. One thing I definitely would like to bring out about here, in while talking about the episode post Shivratri, also I spoke about Bhagwan Shiva, and I spoke about Bhagwan Shiva's marriage at that time, if you remember. At that time, I also brought about one verse which is there in Srimad Bhagavat about Bhagwan Shiva. Saesha Loka Guru Jnani Nam Sabhapati. One form of Bhagwan Shiva, and I am talking about Bhagwan Shiva here. Why? Because he is our Adi Guru also. Guru Parampara starts from Bhagwan Shiva, and Bhagwan Shiva is our Adi Guru also. So there are a few attributes I'll bring about for you to explain it here. And Bhagwan's Leela is for or helping us understand the aspects of life. So one aspect of Bhagwan Shiva is when I spoke about his marriage, that in his marriage procession, all the beings which would not have been called by anyone for their marriage, Bhagwan Shiva invited them, come along with me. And I said that when Bhagwan Shiva's marriage procession reached there, Devtas us all reached separately, because they understood that we don't match the kind of people coming in with Bhagwan Shiva. So they went separately. When they reached, Maina Devi, who was there, they thought that if Devtas, when they came, they were like very well dressed up and came with very good things and all. So Manadevi thought, if the guests are like this, then I'm sure, or the what do you call that, groom will be very very special, so to say. But when the actual procession of groom came, and when Manadevi saw that all the kind of beings were there following him, and there was a snake as a necklace on Bhagwan's neck, which actually hissed at Manadevi when she tried to do the arti of Bhagwan when he reached there. So, then Manadevi thought, I do not know what should I say. So when she was doing the arti of Bhagwan Shiva, welcoming him for the marriage, the snake hissed the plate of that arti in which that lamp was there, which was being circled around Bhagwan Shiva in terms of arti. It fell down. So in any ceremony, when if the arti falls down, it is actually supposed to be inauspicious. So everyone, and on the bright side, they said it's inauspicious, we cannot have the marriage. Bhagwan Shiva said there is nothing called inauspicious, let's continue with the marriage, and Bhagwan moved on. Why? Because Bhagwan Shiva is auspiciousness personified. For him, nothing is inauspicious at all. He does not see in those things at all. In auspicious and inauspicious is for people like us, ignorant people like us, who feel that this is auspicious, that is inauspicious, because we walk through the omen science so much, that because we are jiva, we are living as a jiva, something bad happens, we say it's not good, it's not going to be like that. And Bhagwan Shiva is what? He is actually, what you call that, a Sakshat Brahmamurti. Actually, Bhagwan Shiva, he is actually the supreme consciousness personified in the form of a guru. Bhagwan Shiva's other form is, one form is this marriage position and people followed him, but the other form I said, Saesha Loko Guru Jnani Nam Savapati. One another form which Srimad Bhagavad elaborates about Bhagwan Shiva is, Bhagwan Shiva is always surrounded by the gurus, all the kind of rishis and gurus, who's all the Shrotriya Brahmanist people who reflect upon scriptures sitting around him. And he is the Sabhapati. He is the head of all those gurus sitting there. So Jnani Nam Sabhapati. He is the head of all the gurus surrounding him, and he is leading the discussion of all the Shrotriya Brahmanist gurus, all the realized saints sitting around him and reflecting upon the self, and he leads that session. That's the actual form of Bhagwan Shiva. And one of the thing, as a role of Bhagwan Shiva, he is Samhara Murti. So I told you, when the inauspicious thing happened, when the marriage procession reached there, Bhagwan Shiva is such, what to talk about auspicious and inauspicious. Even if Mahapralay comes, it doesn't touch him, doesn't bother him at all. It doesn't care about it at all. He is Sakshat Samhara Murti. He is the personified form. His role in the creation is of a destroyer. And that is one of the reasons why in cremation ground and all, which is the final journey of a jiva, or the final journey of this body, not jiva, final journey of this body, Bhagwan Shiva is placed at the crematoriums according to the Hindu religion, so to say, because he's the Samhara Murti. So one of the form of Bhagwan Shiva is that. So means what? Aham Brahma Asmi means I am that supreme consciousness itself. As I had also explained in the past in the WhatsApp group which I run, and that answer is already there in the Telegram group, which is a repository of all the questions answered till now on the WhatsApp group, asked by the listeners and answered by me, which is already there. And in there also I mentioned, when we talk about supreme consciousness and the what do you call that, a series of deities for us, supreme consciousness, their form, their manifested form is actually Bhagwan Narayana, Bhagwan Shiva, or we call it that, one is Nirgun Nirakar. Their Sagun Sakar Roop is actually Sagun Sakar form on the from the formless, as when the formless takes a form as desired by itself, that is when they take the form of Bhagwan Narayana, Bhagwan Shiva, Mother Devi, Bhagwan Ganesha, and all of them are supreme consciousness personified in that. That's why we call them Bhagavan. From them comes Devta, and that starts from Brahmaji. Brahmaji, that's why you will see you'll hear in the story of Sanatan Dharma that Bhagwan Brahmaji came in the lotus, which came from the belly button of Bhagwan Narayana. So he came from Narayana, the way it said. Right? So from Brahmaji, then the creation starts. All other devtas, which is Indra, Varuna, Agni, all those devtas came from Brahmaji. That's how it goes in the series of creation. So Bhagwan Shiva is Sakshat Brahmamurti, supreme consciousness personified in a form. Form, why? Why supreme consciousness takes form? Because it's very difficult for we who are in form today, to go and attribute or devote ourselves to the formless. It's a very, very difficult journey. So to make it easy, Bhagwan or Supreme Consciousness has taken forms so that, but students like us, devotees like us are benefited, that our journey becomes a little bit shorter. I'm just giving you an example. For example, I'm based in Chandigarh, so if you have to, travel from Chandigarh to say Delhi, there may be many routes. Some may be long, some may be short, some may be good, some may not be that good at all. So then, and we will look for a route which is shortest and comfortable enough and gets us us in the least possible time. In the same way, Sagun Sakar, or the form of the formless, does the same thing. Is the shortcut for us. Otherwise, Jiva will have to work very hard to reach the formless directly. So that's a difficult way. Some other time, when the topic comes in Bhagavad Gita itself, in the further chapters, especially in the 6th chapter, Dhyana Yoga, I'll talk more about that actually at that particular time. So this verse is what actually is setting the standard for us, that where I am today and where I have to reach. I am living at a preset thought of something called, a prevalent thought of something called Aham Jivaha, and I have to reach the thought of Aham Brahmasmi, and that is what the Mahavakya is all about also. Aham Brahmasmi. One of the 4 Mahavakyas is Aham Brahmasmi. Ayam Atma Brahma is the second Mahavakya. Prajnanam Brahma is the third Mahavakya. It goes on like that. So there are 4 Mahavakyas, so to say. So we'll come to that as we move along in the Bhagavad Gita itself. Also, Bhagavan says here, so this is set as the pinnacle of achievement for us. What is the, what do you call that? How will I know if I've gained the knowledge correctly? The property which I should feel within myself, that I feel that I do not have any dependency on these 4 pillars which I had dependency till now. The moment I feel the need that these dependencies are not there in my life, you can understand that you have reached the level of gaining the knowledge. Now that person will work towards establishing oneself in the glory of the self, which he has understood himself to be. That is what has been said in this verse, that that is what is trying to explain in this particular verse, that only for a man of realization can reach that level. For a jiva, reaching this state is not possible at all. Whenever this state is reached, this state can be reached only when we start living at the level of supreme consciousness. At the level of jiva, this state, what has been explained in this verse number 71, can never be reached at all. It's not possible. When we start living at the level of supreme consciousness, these things will be established, that the dependency on these 3 things is completely gone, or these 4 things is completely gone. Remember one thing, the moment one reaches the level of supreme consciousness, attains the supreme consciousness, the last pillar, I'm using the word purposefully, and that's the reason I gave you in sequence. First pillar is what? Kama, desire. The second pillar is what? Spriha. The third pillar is what? Mamata. The fourth or the final pillar is actually Ahankara. The moment and one reaches the supreme consciousness, in supreme consciousness, this last pillar also, which goes at the end, called Ahankara or I-ness, does not exist at all. Means what? The reaching or self-realization means what? Losing your individuality. I cease to exist. What exists there is only the supreme consciousness. When I cease to exist, all that which was identified as I, they have no place or no foundation to stand upon. Why I said it's the last pillar means what? It is the foundation on which others are standing. Right? At the level of supreme consciousness, this I-ness does not exist. This pillar does not have any place at all. That is why supreme consciousness will never have the ego of being supreme consciousness. Why? Ego is when there are 2 people. I need to identify myself when I have somebody else apart from me, which means technically means what? Till the time I have individuality. The moment individuality is broken, this thing is not there. I'm actually very much tempted to bring I chanted one verse during Ram Navami. Bhai Pragat Kripala Deen Dayala. Actually, at that time, while talking to Mother Parvati or answering her question, who is Bhagwan Ram, Bhagwan Shiva explains this point that please understand the Nirgun Nirakar or the formless and the form, so to say, which we call Bhagwan, they are not two different things at all. They are considered different by only the ignorant people. There, in the explanation, it is said very clearly for a Jivan Mukta Purusha, for a man of realization, actually, what Bhagwan Shiva's marriage ceremony, and I spoke about also, I'm trying to relate that. For a Jivan Mukta Purusha whose individuality is destroyed, tell me, once whose individuality is destroyed, who are we then? He himself does not exist as an individual, then who are we? We are nothing but Bhuta Preta for him. Means what? Individuality himself, his individuality is broken. So then, if his individuality is not there, our individuality for him is also gone, no? Then when the individuality is not there, but something is moving around in the form of a body, they are what? They are what? Bhuta Preta only, no? So that's what a vision of a man of realization is. For a man of realization, nothing exists apart from supreme consciousness. Wherever his vision goes, he sees nothing but supreme consciousness, because his individuality himself is broken. Since he himself is not there, there is nothing which creates the difference between him and others. So he sees things moving around, but he don't see them as so and so name and so and all those things. So since his individuality is broken, his ego is completely destroyed. He has got nothing, no relation to a thing called minus. He's got no relation with anything in this world to be called as mine. Then since that is the case, I'm taking the reverse now. Since that is the case, there is no place for desire in such a man of realization. A man of realization or a jnani means supreme consciousness himself. That is why Sanatan Dharma scriptures, Upanishad says, Brahmavit Brahmaiva Bhavati. The one who knows Brahman is Brahman himself. That one who knows Brahman, who knows supreme consciousness, who abides in the supreme consciousness, is nothing but walking supreme consciousness, so to say. Because the one who is placed so well in supreme consciousness, he alone is called as jnani also. And that is what is the actual eternal truth or reality, the final reality. Now, for a seeker, what is the effort for a seeker? Now, that is what I want to point out through this particular verse. As a seeker, as long as we are living in this undercurrent prevalent thought that I am Jiva and all others are Jiva, I am different from others and all others are moving around in the world, till then, these three attributes which I spoke about, we must identify themselves in us. We must critically observe them. And that is what, through Bhagavad Gita, Supreme Consciousness, Bhagavan Krishna is trying to give us advice. That is a teaching for a seeker in this particular verse. This verse is talking about man of realization only. But we need to draw what we should draw from this verse for a seeker, what our effort should be towards. Our effort should be towards what? Vihaya Kaman. Even if we are not able to eliminate desires in our life, at least we can make an attempt to decrease the number of desires. We can make an honest attempt that the number of desires in my heart reduces from where they were. I can have less number of desires. At least I can make an honest attempt towards that. And if we are able to walk that path, then remember one thing, even in though we may not be able to experience Sarvan Kaman right now, but surely, sure enough, one day will come in any life, so to say, it may be, that we will reach this state of Sarvan Kaman. It will definitely happen with us one day or the other. That's for sure. We will start seeing a vision that we will be able to reach there. Otherwise, Bhagwan can't give a statement in the air, so to say. You need to remember. There are several aspects I can bring about from Srimad Bhagavat. When we read the explanation in Srimad Bhagavat about what Maharshis have attained, and they've created a palace in the air and they lived there for many years. You need to remember that's the power of the self which manifests there. You can do many things. Even I'll tell you, these days you may have Boeing and Airbus, so to say, but just think, Treta Yug we had actually Pushpak Viman, and the quality of Pushpak Viman was what at the time of Bhagwan Ram, that it doesn't need to be of a fixed size. Depending upon the people who are to travel, it can expand its size and it can reduce its size. So, and what to talk about, or fuel economy and all, I don't even need to talk about them. So that's how it used to be earlier times. Actually, we are not developing. Our intellectual power is actually going down. I've said somewhere in my podcast also before. So Bhagwan says, don't worry, Sarvan Kaman will start being seen by you somewhere nearby only. So the first thing we need what? Earlier, our attempt before this would have been towards expanding the expanse of my object, expanding my span of control of object, span of ownership of objects. Maybe that was there, but after walking the path of a spiritual seeker, we will be able to reverse this thing. We will be able to completely overturn this effortful journey, and may not be able to become nirmama immediately, may not be able to become nirmama, so to say, but still we will be able to reduce the expanse of things or minus. We will be able to reduce the strength of minus, so to say. We will be able to reduce the expanse of minus. I'm telling you one thing very honestly, okay? I don't know why we don't think rationally over it. The more things I have, actually, it will require more effort from me to maintain. A sannyasi is free. I'll give you one story which I think I do not know I've given it before also or not. There was one saint who used to be a man of realization. He was walking by, so he suddenly was in a kingdom. When somebody went to the king and told, there is a great saint in your kingdom. The king invited the saint and did lot of seva of the saint, so to say, and asked some question. Sir, Swamiji, I have some deep questions in mind, and I could not get answers till now. I heard you are a great saint. Can you answer these questions for me? Swami said, please ask, I'll try what I can answer. Swamiji answered, this great saint answered all the questions of the king. King was very happy. He gave one, in those days they used to give gold coins to whoever they want to, who gift or reward. Swamiji gave one, what you call that, potli, one small pack of gold coins to this saint. And now this saint is a man of realization. What will he do with the gold coins? Gold coins have no value for him. Swami said, I don't want to feel the king disrespected. If I don't accept it, he will feel disrespected. So let me just keep it. I may give it to someone. So Swamiji kept it in his belt. Actually, just hang it in the belt. Somebody in the kingdom saw a king giving the packet or the thing with gold coins to this saint. So he started following the saint because he knew that there are gold coins. So saint knew that somebody is following him. So saint said, walked a while. He didn't interact with that man at all. He walked long while, he walked a long distance. He reached a place. Now it was like, sunset time. So Swamiji said, I need to rest now. So what should I do? I should, rest under a tree. Swamiji knew that this person is following him. So he saw the person when he sat down under the tree. Swamiji called that person. The saints called that person. He said, "Come here. Now tell me one thing very honestly. You are not following me to serve me at all. Neither you are following me to do any benefit to me. Tell me very honestly, are you not following for this packet of gold coin which has been given by the king?" So the thief got a little shocked actually, that he all the way knew that I'm walking for that. So he's, now I cannot lie also. He says, "Swamiji, you are right. I actually was wanting to actually snatch that from you." So Swamiji said, "Listen to me very carefully. Why you have to kill me and earn sin of killing me to gain this? I anyway don't need this. So rather than harming me, why don't you keep this gold coin with you?" The thief was a little shocked. Thief thought there is something wrong. When you gain something, get something so easily, you may feel that something is wrong in it. So thief opened that packet and saw that the gold coins were there. So he was very happy. He took the gold coins and walked away. Swamiji had a very peaceful sleep, by the way. But the thief who took that gold coin, he went up and climbed a tree to sleep. He got little disturbed that I hope nobody steals it from him, because he had to wake up the whole night to protect it, that somebody else doesn't steal it. The one who steals will think that somebody will steal it from him. So the next day the thief may have some purity for him. So Swamiji was walking in the morning. He crossed the thief. He said, "Are you happy now with the gold coin?" He fell on the feet of Swamiji and said, "Swamiji, I understood. Man, by giving this, you had a peaceful sleep. By gaining this, I lost my sleep." See, that is the thing which happens with the expanse of mamata which we run after today. The more you expand, the more time it's going to consume of you in terms of maintaining it. Especially these days, cyber criminals are watching so many things in the world of technology today. I have said somewhere that all of us are being watched. That was one way to tell that all of us are being actually watched by someone or the other in some form or the other. But these days, it's become more true for the criminals that irrespective of how much security you may have, remember you are being watched by someone. And then comes the effort. You may have to work so hard to protect what you have gained. Now, at the end of the day, nothing of that you are going to carry. I'm not saying don't work towards gaining it. Of course, your family may require and all those things. But it will be good for us to understand how much I need to go after, to understand and realize how much is required by me, how much I require, which without losing my sleep, without losing my peace, I can maintain easily and still progress on the vertical path. See, that's the point we need to remember. I'm telling you one more example for you there. There was one, I went for our Puja Guruji's camp one time. It was a 7-day camp. So what happened is, they were like, the camp was full. There were like 200, 300 people in that camp. It was a 1 week camp, and all of them have logged home and come to that place over there. So one of the person was in that camp. On the second day, he came worriedly to Swamiji and fell on Swamiji's feet and said, "Swamiji, I have to take a leave immediately now." Swamiji says, "What happened to you? You have paid for the whole camp, and you thought that you have kept everything safe and come here or for the camp. Why do you want to run away?" "Swamiji, what to say? I'm in deep trouble, Swamiji. Oh, some thief has broken into my home, which was locked when I came here, and everything has been stolen. I don't even know what is left. So I have to go back and actually, calculate things which have gone, raise a police complaint, and work towards catching that thief." That is the state of us if we continuously work towards it's only expanding the things which I have around me. Now, the most thing we need to remember is, minimum we should work is that in our mind, in our inner equipment, we should try to reduce the expanse of minus. We should try to reduce the span of things which I'm calling as mine. That is one thing we must try to work towards. Minimum we should do that. And what is that going to help us towards? We should, means what do you mean by saying that? We should stop working too much to raise the level of our personality. Means what? To raise the level of my position in the society, for my personal what do you call that, personal expansion. I should not work too much on the worldly sense. I'm talking about that, through the expanse of objects I'm talking about here, not I'm talking about the vertical side here, huh? In the context of a seeker, or the meaning of word nirahankar, or free from I-ness, will be termed as the seeker should start to become humble, should start to have humility in interaction with people around him. That's the way to reduce the I-ness at the level of seeker. When we speak about, many people say many things. I'm telling you honestly, I also come across, was while I don't count myself in the man of realization, so to say, I'm saying, but through the life of teaching, to the life of interacting with people, answering questions and all, I've come across all kind of people. Trust me, I'm telling you, there are many kind of insulting ways also I've come up. There are many kind of disrespectful ways also I've come across. I only say one thing: poor person doesn't understand what that person is doing. And so forgive them and move on. That's the best way to adopt in life. Otherwise we may keep things and then keep hatred, keep aversion. We'll have to, for all those things, I have to keep that person in my mind, which I don't want. There are so many good things to be kept in mind. Why should I keep such things in my mind? Means what? My space of mind is limited. I may fill it up with the knowledge of God and supreme consciousness and the things around him, or I can keep it filled up with things like hatred and aversion and those kind of people who hurt you and all those things. The best policy is forgive and move on. And I'll use one word which used to be an ad some time back: forget it and shut it. Shut it and forget it. Just shut it down and forget it. Move on. People will realize on their own. And if you have been genuine and they have misunderstood, one day or the other they will surely come back to you after understanding their mistake. Everyone understands and things in some point in time. It's just a matter of time when they are going to understand. And when somebody is able to adopt this thing in life, to have his or her interaction in complete humility, and is filled with humility, for everyone, is very humble towards people and beings around them. Remember, in the common parlance, such people are also called, what a person, no ego at all, so less ego, doesn't identify with himself or herself at all. That is how we commonly translate people with humility, or those people who are humble towards us. And that means what is the meaning of that? And it doesn't mean in that they are completely free from I-ness. No, they are not. But in worldly parlance, they are less ahankar, less filled with ahankar than other people in the world. Means what will you technically translate that to? That slowly, gradually, their prevalent thought of jiva, that they are jiva, is slowly, gradually getting in, losing its strength, is slowly, gradually getting destroyed, slowly, gradually disseminating from himself or herself. So that is what, and the common and the worldly parlance, or at the level of transactional reality, we must work towards that. At these are the words. This is the way we need to translate these words for us as a seeker in our life. So free from I-ness as will be translated as becoming humble, and as far as possible be less egoistic as far as possible. That doesn't mean let people trample over you and walk over you. I didn't mean to say that at all. Don't self respect you can maintain, that doesn't count as ego. You don't have to be available for everyone to trample over you and run over you or walk over you. That's not what I meant. But as far as possible, we can try to become humble towards people. We can try to reduce the ego so much, so to say. We can try to become free from ego, so to say. And the minus which I have, I can withdraw it from the objects, and that's where bhakti comes as a very important facet. I can detach it from the object or things where it is attached today, and I can attach it to God. I can attach it to my God, my Ishta Devata, and the moment I start to attach it to my God or my dearest God, my Ishta Devata, so to say, slowly, gradually, this person will start to walk towards becoming Nirmamta, walk towards Nirmamta, somewhat, slowly, gradually, so to say. And I'll give you one example. I must bring this out, about Bhagwan Hanumanji. Now, Hanumanji is such a devotee, and I personally feel devotion is personified in the form of Hanumanji. Now, look at Hanumanji. Hanuman Jayanti just passed by, just went by on 12th of April 2025. We just celebrated Hanuman Jayanti on 12th of April 2025, and that is why I chanted the Hanuman Stuti and Hanumanji's Gayatri mantra also during the Dhyana Shloka today. So, look at Hanumanji's life. What a life of devotion. Nothing, if you look at Hanumanji's life, he has done for himself. Not even one thing he has done for himself. His life has always been action as part of devotion to God. Everything he did in his life was only as a devotion to Bhagwan Ram. That's why in Hanuman Chalisa it's come, Ram Kaj Karibe Ko Atur. He's always eager to do Bhagwan Ram's work. The moment something in related to Bhagwan Ram, something comes out from the mouth of Bhagwan Ram, he's automatically present there to go for it. Even and while searching for Sita ji, Bhagwan Ram just said, and Hanumanji immediately volunteered and walked towards south. And see how much bigger task he did. He only went and met Sita ji in the, Pushpavatika, Ashok Vatika. He only went and met there, consoled Sita ji, gave her assurance that don't worry, don't get dejected, don't get depressed. Bhagwan Ram is definitely going to come. He's already round the corner to actually kill Ravana or defeat Ravana and free you from him, from his custody. So that is what the life of Bhagwan Ram is. Wherever you, whatever story you see of Bhagwan Hanumanji, he is always there, even today, because he's Chiranjeevi. The moment you say Jai Shri Ram, I'm sure he is present at that place to see what he can do to help devotee to gain Bhagwan Ram. That is the glory of Bhagwan Hanuman. You see, even in Mahabharata, Hanumanji is there. When Bhim met Hanumanji while going somewhere, and Hanumanji was lying down as an old monkey, Bhim said, please, keep aside your tail, because I cannot walk over your tail or I can't cross over your tail at all. That becomes disrespect, and you are an old person. So we must respect an old person. So it was Hanumanji. He didn't realize it's Hanumanji. He said, you seem to be very powerful, because Bhim had this thought that he's very powerful. He knew that he's powerful also, and he was powerful also, but he had that thought in him that he's powerful. To break that ego, Hanumanji said, you consider yourself so powerful, you're already so powerful, so to say, you've defeated so many people, you killed so many demons and all those things. Why don't you only lift my tail and keep it aside so that you can cross over? So Bhim said, are you sure? He said, yes. So Bhim thought it's very easy for him, and he put all his strength. He could not move Hanumanji's tail by even an inch. When putting all the strength, Bhim could not move Hanumanji's tail by even an inch. That's when Bhim realized he is not a normal person at all. He's some devta. He bent on his feet. He prostrated to Hanumanji and said, please give me your introduction. You have to be some devta from somewhere. I'm so sorry if my words have come out as disrespect towards you. I didn't mean that at all. I want to really respect you. Please introduce yourself for me so that I can worship you accordingly. That's when Hanumanji came in his own form, and then Hanumanji was very happy with the seva which Bhim did for Hanumanji. And Hanumanji said, ask a boon. There, Bhim asked the boon. He said, please, help us in the Mahabharat war. So there Hanumanji said, while I will not come directly, I cannot participate directly in the Mahabharat war at all, but I heard Bhagwan Krishna has decided to become charioteer of Arjun, and Bhagwan Krishna is my Bhagwan Ram only. So I have decided, since Bhagwan is there, I would love to see him acting through the war and being there. By that way, I'll be able to be near him for some time. So what I'm going to do, I will place myself, or I'll be seated in the flag of the chariot which Bhagwan Krishna is driving for Arjun. So the chariot which Arjun had, Bhagwan Hanumanji was sitting in the flag, and that's why you see the sign, of Bhagwan Hanuman's form there in that flag. And Pavan Putra is there. So what to say? Bhagwan Krishna is there, Hanumanji is there. Who can defeat Pandavas? So that's the way his story goes. So slowly, gradually, we can become humble towards. And remember why I brought up Hanumanji's story also. After serving Bhagwan Ram throughout his life, he didn't ask anything for himself from Bhagwan. Whatever Bhagwan said, he did to his best. He brought Sanjeevani, brought the whole hillock from Himalayas as to save Lakshmanji. What all task Hanumanji did? I know there are countless number of tasks in Ramayana you can see which Hanumanji did for Bhagwan Ram. But remember, at the end, when Bhagwan was winding up his Leela from Ayodhya, and Bhagwan decided to go back to Saket Lok, so at that time, Bhagwan decided all the people who are living in Ayodhya, I'm going to take them along with me to Saket Lok. Saket Lok is Brahmalok only. Yeah? Someday I'll talk about the Lokas also some other time. I think I spoke about in Srimad Bhagavat Satsang in Delhi, which is there on the podcast also. I spoke about that. Or one of the podcasts I've spoken about, I don't remember which one. But so Bhagwan decided to take all the people who are living in Ayodhya to Saket Lok, as Mukti over there. So he took them to Saket Lok. At that time, Bhagwan Ram called Hanumanji and said, Hanumanji, what I'm going to do is, I'm taking all of these people to Saket Lok, but I want you to stay back on the earth and bless my devotees. Now remember, a person who has served someone throughout the life, if we would have been in his place, the first question which would have come in our tongue would be, Bhagwan, that's so shocking. What mistake did I do to deserve this? You are taking everyone who is staying in your Ayodhya to Saket Lok, and you are excluding me, and you are asking me to stay back on the earth. Hanumanji did not ask a single question. Hanumanji said to Bhagwan Ram, Jo Agya, Mere Prabhu, whatever you order, my Bhagwan, I'll do it. See, that's the level of devotion of Hanumanji. And that's why I thought it is worth bringing up out here. A devotee who's devoted to Bhagwan, his mamata is always attached to Bhagwan. And that is why in Ramcharis Manas also, there is in the Sundarkand, there is this chopai which comes, Sabke mamata tag batori, mamapad manahi band kari dori, band bari dori. So, from winding up the mamata, minus from everywhere, a devotee goes and attaches it to Bhagwan. Bhagwan, nothing in this world, no one in this world belong to me. The only one who belong to me and the only one to whom I belong is you. All other relations which I fulfill as a duty are coming out as an order of you. My relationship is with you, my devotion is to you. I am working in this life only to please you. And that is exactly what I spoke about when I spoke about what is Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is a form of bhakti only. And that, so then the question may come, why Bhagwan has deciphered Karma Yoga separately here and Bhakti Yoga separately here? Because Bhakti Yoga is a different and a higher form of Karma Yoga. But Bhakti is also Karma. Remember that I said very elaborately when I was in that verse, when I was deciphering the Sankhya Yoga and Karma Yoga at that time. So remember this chopai of Ramcharitmanas, Sundarkand, Sabkai mamata tag batori, mamapad manahi bandhavari tori. So this verse is actually a technique given to a seeker to reduce the expanse of minus. So slowly, gradually, a seeker must work to reduce the minus which he has created all around him. And slowly, gradually should reduce it and slowly, gradually attach the minus to Bhagwan. Another example which comes again from Ramayana is of Bharatji, and I am all gaga over Bharatji in terms of the way he has managed Ayodhya during the 14 years of exile which Bhagwan Ram decided to stay. Now Bharatji, you will look at him, you will understand. Bharatji used everything in Ayodhya while he was the acting king. Remember, he never accepted to become the king. He said, I'm only acting king. You are the king. I am only doing the work for you. He placed Bhagwan Ram's Charan Paduka on the throne. He's kept there and he sat in the chair of the followers of the king. He never sat on the in the seat of the king. Even though he took decisions as an acting king, so to say, he used all the things used by a king to run on the kingdom. He used that. He used all the things over in the kingdom which are available to run the kingdom. But his mind was very firm on one thing, that Sampati sab Raghupati ke ahi. And this is what is mentioned in Ramcharitmanas Aranyakand, and it is mentioned there that I am doing everything, I'll use everything for running the kingdom, but I will remember this thing very well, that all the wealth belongs to you. Everyone's wealth is a borrowed wealth from him. Actual wealth, all of them belongs to Bhagwan. Everything belongs to Bhagwan. And that is one of the reasons when I mentioned and Apuryamana Machala Pratishtam, why things of desire run towards Mahatma. That's the way God is giving to this man of realization. Because everything belongs to him. Through people, God is giving him. Because God wants to give him. He wants to do something for his devotee. He wants to do something for that person who has devoted his life for him. I'm asking you one simple question. Even if some king would have led a life, a person who is completely devoted to the king, will the king not want to fulfill all the desires of that man? Then what to talk about Bhagwan? Bhagwan is the creator. He owns this whole creation. Will he not give through people his wealth? Will he not give for running the life of a Mahatma? Will a Mahatma had to run after things to fulfill? Mahatma doesn't wear, and that is what is meant by yoga chemam aham vahami. That's the thing, that is the kind of vision a seeker must have, that everything belongs to Raghupati Bhagwan. I am only a mere servant, I am only serving him. So Bharatji, he did rule Ayodhya all the 14 years, but only as a caretaker. Not even once Bharatji did anything in Ayodhya as a king. He only did as a caretaker of Ayodhya. And that's the beauty of Bharatji. That is why I kept on telling, we must recognize and realize whose culture we are following. Are we following Ramayana culture, or are we going to follow the culture of Aurangzeb and other people? Why? Because if you follow Ramayana culture, you will give up your wealth for your brother, you will give up your things for your father. But if you are following Aurangzeb culture, then you will kill your father also for your own gain, and you will may kill your brother also for your own gain. So we have to recognize which culture we decide to follow. One of the things it is very very important is, so the culture you follow, so your internal makeup will become. You need to understand, recognize that that's a choice you have to make. So we need to understand, as Bharatji did, for 14 years he became the caretaker of Ayodhya. And mind it, I'm telling you, trust my words, I'm telling you, Ayodhya was not in shambles when it was given back to Bhagwan Ram. As a caretaker, Bharatji did a brilliant job. Ayodhya was better than how it was when Bhagwan Ram left for exile. When Ayodhya was given back to Bhagwan Ram, Ayodhya was in a better and more or established state. It was a very well established state, so to say. Bharatji did his job so well as a caretaker. You don't have to necessarily, get a position to do something. If you have the attitude of service, you will definitely do a great job irrespective of what role you do. That is one of the reason I keep on telling in my podcast also, that understand what culture you want to follow. It's utmost important for us to follow the correct thing. So through Bharatji, remember one thing, that we must work towards having a devoted life towards Bhagwan without attaching the feeling or the thought of minus to any object. That we would use our minus as in terms of attaching it to Bhagwan. We should use the strength of minus to attach it to Bhagwan and work towards strengthening it also. Through this Bharatji's story, we need to understand and get this message so clearly. With any object, without attaching minus, we must use it to its full potential. And that will be possible only and only if a person recognizes this fact and accept this fact, that I'm only a caretaker of it and does not own it at all. I gave one line and stanza in some time before also. If we care for a flower, we'll nourish it. But if we like a flower, we'll pluck it. There is a big difference between love and liking. The moment you love a flower, your thought will go how to nourish it. But the moment you like a flower, your thought will go how to own it. So you'll pluck it. So we must learn this art, that without attaching the minus, we should be able to devote ourselves and utilize things to its full potential. And that will be possible only when we recognize and accept this fact very well in us, that I'm only a caretaker of that thing and does not own that thing at all. But remember, while doing this also, our honesty should be complete. Honesty will always be complete if we have this thought in our mind, and the worry for managing that will also be there, but it will, the minus will be completely cut off if you are able to adapt this thing in our life. This is what you call that, this solution, this trick, this strategy, it actually is a way to move towards, or it's a tool to move towards becoming free from minus or reducing our minus. On the one side, whatever is required to run my life, if I have desire for running whatever is required to run my life, if and we may decide to run towards that, But on the other hand, in terms of expanding in my desired objects or the span of desire, I will work towards reducing that as much as possible. Now what we have in hand is, on one side we have minus, which is not something which we should work towards, which is not something which we should have in our life, which is not something which we would increase or work towards in our life. And on the other hand, and there is something called nirmamta, or complete negation of I-ness, which is something which we are not able to live. So on one side there is minus, as which is not required in our life, and on the other side is free from minus, which we cannot live. So then what is the middle path which Bhagwan has given us? The middle path for us which comes out is, through this entire discussion, is that at our minus we should work towards attaching it with Bhagwan. The feeling of being doer, feeling of enjoyer, feeling of I, rather than living with that feeling in life, we should live as a humble servant at the lotus feet of Bhagwan, at the service of Bhagwan, and as a one serving Bhagwan. And once this kind of a thought process come in us, we will be, once this kind of preset thought or prevalent thought comes in us, we will start to move towards this thing which Bhagwan is trying to talk about. And slowly, gradually, our individual personality will start to become, individual personality means our individual what do you call that, ego in the world, along with things which belong to me, and me, my, those things will start and starts to slowly gradually destroy, start to slowly gradually reduce in our life. If, and once we become servant at the lotus, once we accept us as the servant, or one at the service of Bhagwan, at that time, remember, slowly gradually our desires will also start to reduce. But the thing we need to pay attention and is that, these are the things which I just spoke about, or this meaning is for a seeker, so to say. And the kind of properties which Bhagwan has mentioned here, the kind of attributes which Bhagwan has mentioned here, those are actually only and only Bhagwan is talking about Sthita Prajna, or a man of realization. And in the context of Sthita Prajna, or a man of realization only, this what Bhagwan has mentioned actually goes or is true for only a man of realization. That's what we need to understand and clearly from this one. And whatever Bhagwan has said in the true sense, that is applicable only for a man of realization. For a seeker, what I just told few minutes before, that is the path we all have to take. And because a man of realization is living a life of full contentment, because of that, desires does not sprout at all in him, in his antakarna, in his inner equipment. And because he lives as the true self, as the supreme consciousness, because of that, he does not have the need to be dependent on anything for survival of his life. That is what the meaning of Yoga Shivam Aham Vahami is. Also Bhagwan said that. And because of that, neither he has anything called minus, nor he has something called I-ness in him. That is what a life of a man of realization is all about. As far as a jiva is concerned, and jiva will always have these three things. Desire will also be there, minus will also be there, and even I-ness will also be there. Now remember one thing, when we talk about a man of realization or a jnani, a man of realization is not a good jiva. A good jiva we call a man of with good qualities. We don't call a man of realization and or a sthita prajna as good jiva. The good jiva term goes for a man who is filled with good qualities which are helpful for a society. Remember, as I just mentioned in the story of Bhagwan Shiva, also when I'm talking about Bhagwan Shiva, as far as Jnani is concerned, or a man of realization is concerned, is not even a Jiva. He is a true Atmanisht, firmly abiding with true abidance in the self, and in the self there is no place for I-ness, there is no minus also. What to talk about desire if we talk about like that? That is why it is mentioned here that such a man of realization shantim adhigachati. I want to talk some more things before I complete this particular verse here, and then I go to Gurudev's commentary on this. Something from Bhagwan Shankaracharyaji's Bhashya. Nispriha, Bhagwan Shankaracharyaji says, and before that I'll say, Asheshatah Karsyena Charati Jivan Matra Cheshta Shesha Paryatati Iti Arthaha. He lives the life of prarabdha alone, and just to make his life walk about. Sometimes he may not have even desire to run his life. Doesn't mean that he'll commit suicide. That's not what I mean. The basic need of life to run about his life till the time prarabdha is there, this man of realization will take care of the body only that much. Nispriha, Bhagwan Shankaracharya says, Sharir Jivan Matre Api. Only for making this body survive, even for making the body survive also, for that also this man of realization, Nirgata Spriha, has got no longing for anything for that also. He's got no longing for that also. Even to make his body survive also, he's got no longing. Nirmamaha, he doesn't have minus. Bhagwan Shankaracharya says, Sharira Jivan Matra Kshipta Parigrahe Api. Even for, or continuing the life also, or even for, or having the identification of this body as mine also, this man of realization has got no such identification also. Nirahankaraha vidyavatwadi nimittatma sambhavana rahita iti arthaha. Free from ahankara. Here there is one beautiful, why I came back to this verse, why I came back to Bhagwan Shankaracharya's his bhashya, I'll tell you. Here Bhagwan says, sometimes people who have knowledge, who are more subtler, so to say, even a person who walking the spiritual path also, there is a danger that or the person may have ego that I am knowledgeable. But this person, when Bhagwan points the word Nirahankara, he does not have even this much of ego also, that I know about the self, or I am aware of the self, or I am a man of realization. I told you, a man of realization will never say that I am a man of realization. He'll never say. Who is there to say that I'm a man of realization? Who is there to claim in front of in terms of being a man of realization? So this person is never going to say. Then he says here, Shantim Adhigachati. He says, Sa evam bhutah sthita prajna brahmavid. So what Bhagwan is talking about here, only and only it goes for Brahmavid, the one who is become a Brahman or living or firmly abiding in the self, Sthita Prajna. Shantim. The word Shantim, Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji explains here. Sarva Sansara Dukkha Paramalakshanam Uparamalakshanam Nirvanakyam Adhigachati. He crosses over all those kind of causes which exist in the world, which creates all kinds of sorrows. Adhigachati. Adhigachati means crosses over them forever. Means what? He gains eternal peace. Prapnoti Brahma Bhutah Bhavati iti artha. Means what? Prapnoti means attains that state. Means what? He becomes Brahman. Brahma Bhuta Bhavati. He becomes Brahman. Because only after becoming a man of realization, one can cross over all kinds of sorrows which arise in this world, from prarabdha and everything. That is what is mentioned here. He alone attains eternal peace. All of our peace is in pieces. We are trying to maintain it, run after, or gain and all those things, but we are actually, it's all in pieces. I'll read Puja Gurudev's commentary on this particular verse before I move into the next verse. Puja Gurudev says, there are commentators who believe that this and the following stanza explain the path of renunciation, which is in fact not altogether ignored in the text of the Gita. Since, as we said earlier, The second chapter is almost a summary of the entire divine song. It has to indicate even this sannyasa yoga, which will be explained later on at length and hinted at different places during the entire length of the Gita. This stanza seems to ring clearly the significant advice given earlier by Supreme Consciousness Bhagavan Krishna, almost at the very opening of his philosophical discussion in this chapter. He had advised therein, having conquered the mental agitations that were created by the pairs of opposites, fight the battle of life. The same idea seems to be restated here at the close of the chapter. The first line of the stanza explains the mental condition of the one who comes to discover real peace within himself. Such an individual, it says, renounces all desires and has no attachments or longings. The second line describes the condition of such an individual's intellect, and it asserts that it is without any sense of I-ness or myness. The ego is the cause of the sense attachments and longings. Where the ego is not perceptible, as in sleep, there are no longings or desires in the individual, or at least they are dormant. Thus, if the first line of the stanza is describing a negation of the effects of ignorance, the second line asserts the absence of the very cause from which desires and the agitations arise. Earlier on in the introduction, we explained that the split in the personality of Arjuna was caused by the intervention of the sense of his ego and his egoistic desires, which broke up the subjective and objective aspects of his mind into two independent islands with a vast ocean of surging waves of desires between them. With a soft suggestion after explaining all the logic of thought, Supreme Consciousness Bhagavan Krishna is carefully placing his finger upon the very ulcer in the Pandavas' mind. The stanza, in its sum total suggestions, advises that all of our sufferings in the world are caused by our own egocentric misconception and the consequent arrogance, which is characterized by our ever multiplying demands for wealth and our endless desires. Sannyasa means sacrifice, and to live in a spirit of sacrifice after renouncing completely one's ego and its desires is true sannyasa, wherein an individual comes to live in constant and awareness of his fuller and ampler divinity. The general misunderstanding that to run away from life is sannyasa, or to color the cloth is to become a true monk, has cast an irreparable slur on the philosophy of the Upanishads. Hinduism considers him alone to be a sannyasin who has learnt the art of living his life in constant inspiration, which is gained through an intelligent renunciation of his egocentric misconceptions. Shankara beautifully explains this point of view in his commentary on the stanza. That man of renunciation who, after entirely abandoning all desires, goes through life being content with the bare necessities of life, who regards not as his even those things which are needed for mere bodily existence, who is not vain of his knowledge. Such a man of study knowledge who knows Brahman attains peace, nirvana, the end of all the misery of mundane existence, samsara. In short, he becomes Brahman. This devotion to knowledge is extolled as follows in the next verse. I am also going to speak about, when I spoke about the introduction of Bhagavad Gita, I gave something called the preface written by Bhagwan Shankaracharya, which is actually the what do you call that, the starting bhashya, which is given and in terms of an introduction. So in that bhashya, Bhagwan Shankaracharya is very clearly spoken about two things, that in this world action is divided into two parts. One is that the paths are defined into two ways, so to say, the path of action and the path of renunciation. These two paths are clearly defined and in actually our Sanatan Dharma, so to say. I spoke about Pravritti Marg and Nivritti Marg, if you remember it, so to say. Pravritti Marg is the path of action. Through actions, we have to gain the purity, fulfill, complete, exhaust our vasanas, fulfill our duties, so to say, and move on. and create good prarabdha and all those things. Nivritti marga is for them who have already done that in the previous life. For them, there is no path of action. For them, sannyasa is the actual path. I'm going to explain this further as we move along. Now, let me read the verse number 72. I'll give you the literal meaning today, but we'll see the detailed meaning in the next session. एषा ब्राह्मी स्थितिः पार्थ नैनां प्राप्य विमुह्यति स्थित्वा स्यामन्तकालेऽपि ब्रह्मनिर्वाणमृच्छति एषा ब्राह्मी स्थितिः पार्थ नैनां प्राप्य विमुह्यति स्थित्वा स्यामन्तकालेऽपि Brahma Nirvana Mrichati. Oh my God, what a verse, so to say. Supreme Consciousness Bhagavan Krishna, from the 55th verse, has started to talk about the properties of a man of realization. And the key property mentioned in the 55th verse was Atmani Eva Atmana Tushta. In the 72nd verse, which is this verse which we read now, Bhagwan culminates this teaching as Esha Brahmi Sthiti. This is the state of realization. This is the state of reaching Brahman. Esha Brahmi Sthiti. This is a state you can call as a man has reached realization. And he started his step with Atmani Eva Atmana Tushta, and his culmination is here that he has attained the state of Brahman. He has become Brahman. And this is what is called as the Mahavakya of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. There Bhagwan said, a man of realization is fully fulfilled and contented, feels contented and completely fulfilled in the self. And Bhagwan is culminating that line here, that teaching here, and says, hey Arjun, culminating here that state of Atmani Eva Atmana Tushta, as that state is actually called reaching the state of Brahman, reaching the state of Brahma Anubhuti, so to say. Hey Arjun, and O Arjuna, Bhagwan says, this is state, it is actually nothing but this is the state of reaching the level of Supreme Self, or reaching the level of True Self. This is the eternal state one can reach. And you should not call this only as a state of self. This state is nothing but this is the state of Brahmanishtha only. Complete firm abidance in the self. I said complete firm abidance in the self, as the self, by the self, in totality. Means, what is the meaning which comes out of this is through Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Supreme Consciousness Bhagwan Krishna is terming Atmasthiti, or placing oneself or firmly abiding in the self, as the state of firmly abiding in Supreme Consciousness or Brahmasthiti. They both are synonymous as words. Atmasthiti is only Brahmasthiti, or means abiding in the self is only coined as what is only meant as abiding in the Supreme Consciousness. They are not two different terms. Bhagwan says, the one which I said as Atmasthiti, or firm abidance in the self, or Sthita Prajna, that is which I said as abidance in the firm abidance in that self. The one which I called as Sthita Prajnata, which I called as Sthita Prajna, that is what is also known as a state of Brahmi Sthiti. Brahmi Sthiti means reaching the level of Brahman, or attaining Brahman, or gaining Brahman, or merging oneself into the self. And this is one state, once it is established in someone, there is no chance of this person getting deluded ever again. There is no chance of this person coming back to any state, so to say. There is no chance left for this person to experience any kind of sorrows ever, which is what Bhagavan mentioned as Shantim Adhigachati. That is the state Bhagavan says. And to maintain this state, to reach this state, definitely effort is required. But to maintain this state, once a person has reached this state, this person don't have to make an effort to maintain that state at all. To reach this state, Bhagavan says, to reach this state, we must make an effort till our last breath. Sthitva asya, antakale api. So Bhagavan says, is, even till the last breath, we must make an attempt to actually, reach this state. Sthitva asyam antakale api. We must make an effort to, a diligent effort to work. And that is what I coined earlier in my podcast as, don't leave this life, or don't let your life end before moving at least few inches towards your vertical growth, because that is the only investment you are doing. Only is the word I'm using. Why I'm saying only? Because all the other things which you create now will be left behind here for the others to enjoy or fight after. So remember one thing, till the time your last breath is there, definitely make an attempt. Bhagwan says, even if at the end time any seeker is able to reach this state, he has reached Brahma Nirvanam. He has reached the state of Brahman. Even if one is able to reach this at the fag end of someone's life, this person has reached Brahma Nirvanam. That is what is meant by literal meaning of this verse. Rest we will see it in the next session. Kayena vacha manasendriyarva buddhyatmana va prakrite swabhavat karomi yadyat sakalam parasmai नारायणायेति समर्पयामि श्रीमन्नारायणायेति समर्पयामि ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ओम शांति 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 हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम ओम तत्सत्